to the Flicks From podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today, we've got Netflix 117th film. It's a 2018 Christmas romantic comedy, The Holiday Calendar. It's directed by Bradley Walsh. It stars Kat Graham, Quincy Brown, Ethan Peck, and Ron Cephas Jones. I'm Jesse, and I'm here with MJ. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good. Very excited to see your lovely face again and do this.
I'm not as excited as I was to be watching my first Christmas movie, obviously first Christmas movie of the season, because I think you could argue that the season hasn't quite started yet, but it was very nice just to dip our toe back into Christmas movies, because we've got a few more to come, and we know that in years to come and years gone by, Netflix is pretty keen on the old Christmas movie. So I think it's good to warm into it again.
Good. Well, we like to, and you obviously like your Christmas stuff a bit more than I do, so I'm kind of keen to see where you sit for this one. And we did do a couple of Christmas ones last year, so we've got a bit of a feel for what these look like. So we'll see whether this one fits. And we do like to start off with our fast flicks, where we do a quick summary. So what have you got for this?
All right. So the holiday calendar. Stuck in a rut during the holiday season, Abby finds reasons to lean a little bit more into the Christmas vibe and quickly finds her emotions come bubbling to the surface.
Oh, that's so sweet. So sweet. I've just come up with a question. I said, can an advent calendar lead to love? It's my question for this film.
So, interesting.
I found this really hard, and I will probably get to it later, but I found this one a bit of a tricky one to put together some ideas. So
I can understand that.
We'll hold on. So let's look at what we learned about this one. Fill us in on how this one was put together.
So April 2018. Look, I'll start by saying there's not a heap here. I think these movies are pretty cookie cutter kind of setup, so that wasn't too much to get excited about. But in April 2018, straight away it was reported that Bradley Walsh would direct Christmas Calendar, as it was called at the time, and that was already for Netflix. So Netflix obviously on the front foot with wanting more Christmas content on their streaming platform. The screenplay had already been written by Eamon Caterali. That's a nice name. So that was the Christmas Calendar. It was then later retitled The Holiday Calendar. Not a huge change there. Maybe obviously just trying to branch out a little bit more than just the religious holiday of Christmas and talking more about holiday. But the principal photography began in April in 2018. The city in the film was Niagara-on-the-Lake in Ontario, Canada. That city was actually also the same city that Christmas Inheritance, which was another Netflix Christmas movie that we did last year, was filmed on. Also by Hideaway Pictures, so you can understand that they got it right once and they'll try and get it right again. And that's basically the story. I think the other thing that I do want to bring up is that Kat Graham, who was the lead in the film, she was really drawn to this script due to the fact that it talked about a biracial family unit and the fact that there were interracial relationships existing in this story, but not discussed in any way. It was just, this person's black, this person's white, this person's Latino. Don't care. We're not going to talk about a biracial relationship or biracial family. It's just the way it is. And so she was really drawn to that component of the script in the very first place. So that's how she came on board. I also think she might, I should have checked this, but I think she might be from Canada as well. Obviously the film was filmed in Canada, so there was a bit of a link there for her too.
Good. Yeah, well, I guess just touching on what you've mentioned, that 99% of the translations I could see online for this title stuck with that Christmas calendar title. So I think the holiday word is a very American, title that they went with. Yep. And like you mentioned too, Christmas Inheritance, I mean, there's a couple of really good references of it throughout this film, where there's a character, Fernando, who's watching the film actually while he's talking to the main character, Abby. And I think that this film is referenced in another Christmas Netflix film in the future as well. So they like to, I think you're right. To play a little bit with that, which is quite nice. Consensus time. What did the critics say?
Yeah, pretty middle of the road from what I could see. It's a 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb. nearly 7,500 ratings, 5.7, pretty good score. And I was actually surprised by how high it was. A bit lower on Letterboxd. It's a 2.5 out of 5, but still not terrible. We've certainly seen worse. There was nearly 5,000 ratings on Letterboxd for that one as well. So not too bad in terms of the numbers, and real middle of the road. I want to say under par, but it's probably not, to be honest. It's probably sitting on around par for what the film is. And I think they'd be pretty happy with those numbers. Maybe they wouldn't mind seeing those total ratings a bit higher, a few more eyeballs. But I think this is probably somewhat of a success for Netflix.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes had it at 33%, so pretty low, only on 6 reviews. And
I can't imagine many critics rushing out to see this one.
Not at all. And the audience had it at 35%, so very close, but only on a bit over 100. So, all sitting there in that same sort of boat, I guess, which probably leads us into where our early thoughts are for this. So, what are your early thoughts for the holiday calendar?
Yeah, look, Christmas movies, and you probably touched on this, you alluded to this earlier. For me, Christmas movies, they're judged on a different scale to other movies. And I think what you want to get out of most Christmas movies is just that feeling of magic and the whole Christmas vibe. As long as you can sort of get that out of it, then it is some sort of a tick mark. So I think that flaws in these kind of movies can be overlooked somewhat in order to make way for that, Christmas magic and, some really nice, wholesome content. Whether that has been drilled into me from this Hallmark-esque way, I don't know. But as a 31-year-old male, that's what I want out of my Christmas movie. So, yes, this delivers on that. Yes, there are gaping holes throughout, but the Christmas feeling does come through strong. The magic of the season is there, and it's super duper wholesome. I'm going to use that word a lot because so many things I just pinpointed in this movie was for the sake of being wholesome, I reckon. I definitely didn't love it, but I got my fill from what I wanted out of it. So that's probably the best way to summarize it.
Yeah. I get exactly what you said. For me, I'll struggle a bit with this because there's not much I liked and there's not much I didn't like. So it just sort of sat there because casual Christmas fare is the best way I could put it together, I guess. And if you enjoy Christmas movies, you're probably going to like this. If you didn't, may as well give it a miss because you're not going to get anything too much more from it than that. And I think you summed that all up pretty nicely as well.
I think that you've put that perfectly because if you like Christmas films, this will service you, but it won't blow your socks off. And if you don't like Christmas films, not don't like, because you probably just wouldn't be watching it anyway. But if you're not too fussed by it, this one isn't going to grab you any more than any other film. It'd be very hard to say, watch this instead of, I don't know, even like a Jingle All the Way or something. So
yeah, good. All right, well, let's look at the characters. What have you got for the characters that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, starting with Abby, I just kind of liked her. She's independent. She's goal-orientated, despite maybe lacking a little bit of drive. She sticks up for herself. She believes in magic just enough for this story to work. And she bounces back from her mistakes. So I think Abby is also a symbol of just this wholesome family vibe that doesn't really exist anywhere but on a surface level, just to say that, hey, this is a really wholesome family. Like, she hangs out with her family on a consistent basis. She has a coffee with her grandpa, even though she's seeing him again that night, seeking advice from him. Her sister's always there for her. It's just a nice safety net that the audience has within this film because nothing is really going to go terribly wrong. Like, rock bottom for Abby isn't that low. And that's kind of a nice feeling that you get when watching the film, thinking, well, the worst thing that's going to happen is she's still going to have a family that'll help her out through any sort of tough emotional times.
Yeah, I think you've said that really nicely because the whole idea that they set her up as this warrior, doesn't take risks, and the parents are supportive. The boss seems like not too big a jerk, but not the best boss. So yeah, I thought that she's doing her passion, but in an unpassionate way, and I'm referring to photography. So I liked that, and I put that down myself. And I was like, I'm very impressed with that. That impressed me. But yeah, I think you've summed her up very well. What about we'll talk about Josh. Josh is the love interest from the start. There was always going to be the love interest. I don't think
I agree. We should do a
Yeah.
spoiler. We should do a spoiler alert though, because we haven't done one yet, and we will spoil the film a little bit more than we already have. We're going to talk about it in quite a bit of detail. So if you haven't seen it and you do want to see it and you don't want to have spoiled, then turn off now and have a watch, and then come back to us and we can chat through it together. Even though you can't chat with us, but anyway, Josh. So Josh's his carefree nature and his desire to be a great friend to Abby worked for me early on. Like, I thought it was great. Really liked it. I reckon they vibed so much better as friends. And I know I could see it coming a mile away, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't really buy them as a couple. And that's probably maybe more from Abby's side. I think there's kind of enough clues about how into her he is, but I never bought that Abby was going to fall. Like, I knew she was going to fall for him because I understood what was happening, but it didn't feel it. So I liked Josh, but I just don't think he was the right one for Abby, and I liked Abby. So yeah, he was fine, but he wasn't. He didn't. Maybe if that had to work, this film would have worked more for me. I would have got that nice big romance at the end that I was looking for, which didn't quite hit. But yeah, that's Josh for me.
Yeah, it's just the oldest friend that, just all those things that those tick those boxes. The reason she likes photography is because of him. And apparently he's a big deal in travel photography. And I kind of didn't like that they'd set it up that she didn't actually care about him or do any research on, even though he's given her multiple things. Check out what I do. And she just didn't. And that made me a little bit sad for him, because he's obviously a lot more, or had been previously a lot more into it, even though, towards the end, we've said spoiler alerts that she's all in apparently. So
yep.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Then I guess
she's all in before she realizes he got the cash though. That's good.
That's true. I guess we need to talk about the speed hump in the middle, which is Ty. And I just thought it was the setup of him. It was never going to work. The similarities that his job and his profession are not up to his parents' standards, just like her standards aren't up to her parents. And I'm a little bit confused. I don't know whether he's a good guy or not. They left it too open-ended that he possibly isn't a very nice guy, but they want you to think he's a good guy. And didn't sit well either. Be straight down the line or not. Yeah.
No, well, that's the thing, because he wasn't too bad a guy. I think it's nice that he brought out that spark in Abby, which the film needed and she needed, allowed her to open herself up a little bit, but it didn't work out. They weren't right for each other. That's completely fine. He got a little douchey, but nothing too major. And I think he is as wholesome a villain that you'll actually see in a film. Like, he's the bad guy in the film in a sense, but he's fine. Like, he seems like the kind of guy I'd be happy to hang out with. Like, he's not that bad a dude. And you're right, they don't really sell it either way, but there's no evidence to suggest that he's just an awful guy. I think he's just a little bit vain, a little bit shallow, a little bit of a douche, but not terrible. And that's how they want to do it in this film. There's no real bad guy, and that's fine. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, true. Well, the only other one that I had down was Gramps, and I just thought that you need to make a bit of mention about him. He was this guiding light in this film, and he lost his wife recently. Knows something about the advent calendar that no one else knows. He's got this intrigue to him that whenever a character talks to him, you want to listen, because you think you're going to hear something nice, and I didn't mind that about him.
Oh yeah, he's that guardian angel, right? Like, he's measured, he's wise, he's methodical. He's always happy for Abby to learn the lessons for herself, but he always keeps her on track. I think everyone needs a Gramps in their life. Very few people would actually have someone that magical almost, but yeah, he was lovely. Like, what wasn't to like?
Have you got any other characters?
I just put down Sarah, who's her sister, just to reiterate my point about the family unit and just her being another great support. She did this whole mum, working at a law firm, running the PTA, juggling all this stuff, but still great, down to earth sister, being there for her. This whole, like, I wanted to have Christmas dinner with this family. Like, that's kind of the vibe that you get.
Very true, very true. All right, well, the director Bradley Walsh, a lot of TV, an awful lot of TV, but One Tree Hill episodes, done Helix, which was a show on the Sci-Fi Network that I enjoyed quite a few years ago now. The Beauty and the Beast TV show. Interesting context of work, I guess.
Well, as of late, he also smashed out a bunch of Hallmark Christmas TV movies. So he had within the span, I think it was in 1 year, Christmas Festival of Ice, Christmas in Angel Falls, Christmas Encore. So I think Netflix kind of just, as we said with that cookie cutter, I think they just knew what they wanted, and then he was the guy who could deliver it. So, I mean, what's wrong with that? Making a quid doing something that you know what you're doing. So
it's a good poaching if you're looking for that poach to go to the bank. This is the target spot. So
that's it.
Very good. All right. What about some scenes that you liked in this one? What are some things that stood out?
The first thing for me, which I just realized that I've harped on about, but there's nothing special about the opening, but the film is as traditionally wholesome as you would expect. Like they want you to know that this movie is old school wholesome, and you get that vibe from that first dinner they have together at the house, which again, just a nice big house in the suburbs, or I think it's more of a small town, but that sits well with me. And then from there, I don't know why, but I really liked they went for a hot chocolate on their first date. There was just something really Christmassy about it. It had a really nice feel to it. And again, it's just more the vibe that this movie was giving me with some of this content. And the main thing that I did like, I really liked the Three Wise Men Advent calendar reveal. Obviously, the Gramps in the morning, and then the two old blokes at the shelter. I thought that was really nice. I thought that was such a nice touch, and her discovering it and noticing it. And to be honest, it was. I'm trying to not use the word wholesome, but to be honest, it was just nice to see this advice that they were getting just because they could. And yeah, I don't know. That sat well with me as well. So I can understand what you're saying, how there's nothing that you liked and nothing that you didn't like, because these aren't amazing. And the final thing that I had, the final thing that I had was I liked it. They were watching Christmas Inheritance on Netflix. I thought that was cool. That was my favorite of the three last year, if you remember.
It was, and I think it was my least favorite from the three. So
I think it was too. Yeah, I think it was.
So there's obviously the part you talk about where Fernando's watching it, but then there's another scene where Abby's going through one of those breakdowns and she's having a binge session watching it Netflix. And they paused the screen on the Netflix home screen. I was like, I'm going to write down everything that was on there to see what were our choices. And you could tell it's a little bit of a doctored screen, but it had Christmas Inheritance was what she was watching as well. So obviously it's a favorite amongst the community of wherever they are. The other options were The Kissing Booth, which covered, Set It Up, which another one that we've also covered.
Brilliant movie. Love that.
Then they had some TV shows. So they had Glow, which is the all-female wrestling original.
Yeah.
Stranger Things, which probably needs no introduction.
Yeah, true.
Bill Nye Saves the World, which is another TV show. Ugly Delicious. And then in between, Last Chance U, which I've watched, which is about a true life sports doco about high school kids. Like Father, which we've also looked at as well. So good little selection there if you pause to have a look.
Well, good on Netflix for putting a touch of their own product placement in their movies. Why not, I say? It's a little bit meta too when I'm sitting there watching Netflix, watching someone watching Netflix, getting recommended Netflix things. It's I kind of liked it.
Okay, that's cool. All right. Is that all?
That's all, mate, yeah.
I couldn't find anything that had stood out to me. So I'm sorry. I know you're going to hate me, but I got nothing. No. I got absolutely nothing.
I don't care.
Nothing.
So there wasn't even, I'm just trying to think. I get
nothing. It was just like, it was fine. There was nothing that I was like, that was awesome. So yeah, that's where I'm at on fine. What are some things you want to forget from this?
It annoyed me that when she was with Ty, that was his name, wasn't it? Ty, yep. They literally went out on a date every night of the week. And Christmas is such a busy time for your social calendar. To have a guy who you've just met and dedicate every night of December to him, I don't know. I'm not buying that at all.
I've got that. I'm like, and those dates were extravagant. And that was just too, it was too full on. I know he's a doctor and stuff, but geez, that was horse carriage and stuff. It was just too over the top.
Yeah. It annoyed me the reason for the turmoil or, like the bad thing that goes on was with her getting fired and the circumstances with her getting fired. It just didn't work for me. I mean, obviously they had to get her fired because she needed that push to move on her own. She didn't do anything wrong. It makes no sense to me that like Josh wouldn't just she wouldn't just let Josh. I don't know. The whole thing was and then she got really mad at him. It was all too forced. And then there was a line where she said, "You did this." Like, come on, no, it didn't work. I think as if someone's putting together that script or even that story analysis, you got to find something a little bit stronger there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The whole idea of this memory card, and like you mentioned, she says that blames him, but then says, it's my memory card, it's my responsibility at the same time. It just, the mixed message was really bad.
Yep. A little bit later after that, she sends a text to Josh, and you can see that she has no message history with Josh on her texts. Like, she sends a text and it's the first one there. That's insane to me. Like, she wouldn't have wiped the messages and then texted him again. That was just sloppy. Like, could have done a lot better there. And I've already mentioned this as well, but I don't really buy her feelings for Josh. She's just kind of like, oh wow, it was you all along. Like, give me more than that. Like, that's not how you fall in love.
The whole love you at the end was just way too cliche. Didn't need it. For them to be together, you didn't need that at all. All right. I got a couple others. So I thought the cute meat I didn't like. The tree falling off the car. Just the framing of that shot, and like you could tell they've probably done this take about 10 times to try and get the tree to fall off exactly the right angle as the car went around the corner. It just looked really poor. And then for him to be the doctor that she goes to get checked out at, and then for him to be like, text me on the number on your prescription. I was like, that's weird. That was really weird. That's like creepy doctor vibes. And the only other thing I've got there is that whole scene when Ty and Abby go back to her place, and then all of a sudden there's this superficial jerk who, is picking on things around her house, and I've got a cardboard out of the calendar, things like this. I was like, I just didn't predict that from where we'd come to know him so far. I just thought it was like, we need to break them up. Like, how can we do that? We'll just turn him into something that we've never seen coming.
That's fair. He wasn't even that bad, to be honest. Like, he was a bit of a dick, but it wasn't like he said anything too offensive.
That's true. God. All right. Well, what are some ideas or some themes in this one?
Look, I mean, it's not a theme, but the whole vibe of the film is about being wholesome and wanting to be wholesome during this time of year, and like, tying into the theme of the whole family unit and what makes a family unit. And I think it is a nice point, the fact that it is an interracial family, and I love the fact that it's just not discussed in any way. Like, and nor should it be, but it's just the way it is. There's a white and a black mum and dad, and it's fine. And then obviously Josh is like a Latino and comes in and out of that family unit. I think it's all really strong. I really like it. But from a more character-driven perspective, it is about doing what you love and having dreams and goals to get you there. Obviously, she sort of went against her parents' wishes by jumping into photography, but even Josh as well, rolling the dice to stop what he was doing to come back to who he thinks he's in love with. And just doing what you love and focusing on that. And then also understanding your feelings and your emotions and what that all means, and why you're upset or why you're happy, and following that as well. So all the nice fluffy stuff that you'd expect.
Yeah, I agree. The idea of family, the idea of love, this fate versus magic sort of thing, and obviously the whole idea of Christmas too. That's a bit of a thing in itself. The thing about the family it's sort of her parents look quite young, like very young. I was like,
even her grandpa did a little bit too. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, super weird. All right, what did you take away from this one then?
Well, nothing really bad happens. Which you kind of need from time to time, and you can only really get away with that in a Christmas movie, where it's like, nothing bad happens, but it's Christmas. It's like, oh yeah, fair enough. I like the small town vibe as well. I like the family atmosphere and all of it intertwined with this wholesome feel. I mean, this movie wouldn't do any damage anywhere else, but it's really well placed on Netflix. There's no way you're going to go to a cinema to see this movie, and if you did, you'd feel cheated. But to put it on for 90 minutes or whatever it is on your streaming service because it's Christmas, that's fine.
Yeah, it fits in, like you mentioned before, the Hallmark sort of channel. There, one of those,
Oh
midday
yeah.
movies or something like that. And if you like Christmas films, you're
Mm.
probably going to enjoy this because it has all those,
Mhm.
positive messages and positive, happiness. Just everything's happy, everything's good. It's okay. We can get over everything and be happy together. So, yeah. Tom's IMDb time. What did you jump on to check anyone out?
I got three for this one. So the first one, I didn't really have to go on IMDb because the guy who plays Fernando, Rodrigo Fernandez Stoll, he's a recurring character in the sitcom Kim's Convenience, which I love. I think it's a brilliant TV show, Kim's Convenience. And he plays a very similar character, and I knew it was him straight away. But I just go, oh, I've never seen this guy anywhere else, so it's nice to see him in another film. Very funny. I think he's a funny guy. Kat Graham is actually in How It Ends. Plays
Yeah.
Forrest Whitaker's daughter in that. And,
Okay.
yeah, so she's the main one of the main females in that movie. Yeah, I think I just kind of looked at her and I must have seen you in something. I didn't click that it was How It Ends, but there you go. And the other thing I did have to check was Ethan Peck, who plays Ty. When I knew his name was Ethan Peck, I just wanted to double check I wanted to see if he was related to Gregory Peck, and he is Gregory Peck's grandson. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't look it up, but Ethan Peck, he's in Star Trek Discovery. He plays Spock in it's not even the latest Star Trek show now because I think there's like two more after that. But they're only up to the third season. But yeah, since season 2, he's played Spock in that. Yes, I did have that.
He's got that Spock look to him.
He does, and I was like, oh, I knew that he was Gregory Peck's grandson from when I looked him up when I was watching Star Trek. I, like, I might get you, but you already had it, so well done. Oh, God. All right, do you have any questions you want to ask?
Look, just a little one around. So the photo shoot that she does for the mayor didn't really feel like a big win to me because it was the same old crappy family photos that she was already taking. Did you feel like it would have been more rewarding if she had got a different gig from the mayor? I know they talk about like, oh, I'm going to call you later on, but in my head, she's like, yeah, I'm going to call this lady for family photos because she kicks ass at it. Like, I don't know. Would you have preferred something bigger?
Was she buying they kept doing those freeze frames and all those black and white ones that she was taking throughout? Did she buy them as well to put around her thing? So maybe she's just going to be an official photographer for everything.
Maybe, yeah, that would, yeah. It just wasn't. It just annoyed me that the whole this is your coming of age and your big moment is taking a family photo for a Christmas.
Maybe it's like a presidential photo that every year they get one that goes up in the hall, town hall or something. I don't know.
Just a few little sloppy things though with the plot points, which could have just been easily, like a 10-minute brainstorm. What can we do here?
Yeah, could have been out of the park or done something like a campaign photo or something.
Yeah, something around the city, like there's a new restaurant opening. We want you to be the photographer there for the big opening. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
and we're just spitballing within 30 seconds.
Yeah, true. So I think it was the two guys at the sort of food shelter. They said, people can show you what they want. It's how they make you feel that counts. Do you, this is just do you think that Ty cared about the people he was feeding? Because I don't know. That's something I walk away with and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily does. But then you can't condemn him for doing it. He's still obviously a regular there. They know him enough to be like, oh, he brings dates here, which is not a great look. And maybe he doesn't care that much. Maybe it's an image thing for him. But on the flip side, he's still doing it.
Yeah, I was confused because I didn't know as a story what they wanted us to believe. It confused me a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess the other thing too is the whole resolution with the calendar, whereas the whole narrative we've seen each of the doors open and what they represent. Do we really need a flashback to go back and tell us how all of them actually mattered in her life?
Not at all. No, I agree with that. I remember that. Yeah, a candy cane. Oh, I should crush by a candy cane. Oh, yeah. And then it all sort of linked up to Josh being. Yeah, I agree. That was. It's almost like we forgot about tying in the whole holiday calendar. We didn't do it. Maybe we got to do something with it.
But to me, it's like the things that happened because of the calendar got those two close together anyway. You didn't need a recount of needing to actually match up with everything because without her going through what had occurred through that and her thinking that it went that way, she wouldn't have been where she was now. So yeah, that would be good.
No, I agree. We didn't need it.
Good. Okay, I think we're pretty much done. I think that's time for us to wrap it up.
Yeah, I know. You know what? We've probably picked this movie apart more than we're supposed to. I don't think this movie is set for a 30 to 40 minute discussion dissecting it, but it's what we do and it's fun.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, you look at it like we could probably talk about 10 minutes of this, and it's like we've already pushed it out quite well. So good job. This is the part where we wrap it up. You wrap it up and give our overall thoughts. So fill us in.
Look, it was cringe, but it was Christmas cringe, so it gets away with it. There's very little to sink your teeth into, but the wholesome vibe, the fact that nothing really bad goes wrong, combined with a little bit of Christmas magic, it's still a recipe that works just enough in my books. So it's 2.5 stars.
Very nice. Yeah, it's a very inoffensive Christmas film. So if you like this genre, you'll probably like this, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. For me, there are probably better Christmas films to see, and probably better ones that you can pick up as Netflix originals. So I'm giving it a 2, which gives us a 2.25 out of 5. But I think that sits okay. I'm happy with that.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
To be honest, I reckon half the people who worked on this film would agree that there's better Christmas movies out there. I don't think they're not trying to make the best Christmas movie, and that kind of works. At least it wasn't an absolute bomb. Like, I mean, there's worse ones out there. So
yeah,
it tried to do nice things, and it did do nice things. So
yeah. Well, we're on social. We've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Question up there this week is: do you believe in magic? Christmas magic, sorry, not just magic. I just had that song in my head. I was like, do you believe in Christmas magic?
Do you believe in magic?
Magic, yeah.
Mate, Christmas. I love Christmas, and my big motto around Christmas is what you make of it. So if you think that there's magic in Christmas, then there's magic in Christmas. If you think Christmas is a Hallmark holiday to make you buy presents and spend money, then that's what Christmas is. Christmas can be whatever you want it to be, and it can be as special or as forgetful as you choose. So there's definitely magic in Christmas.
Not even going to comment because I think that's so perfect. I couldn't have said it any better. So well done. We're back again next week. There's no Christmas next week. Next week we have an American-French experimental film, and this one is another one of those ones that I've been sitting on waiting for us to get to it. It's called The Other Side of the Wind, and it's directed by Orson Welles. It stars John Huston, Bob Random, Peter Bogdanovich, Susan Strasberg, and Oya Kodar. So I'm very, very excited for this one. I've been sitting on it, waiting. I think it's a long one, a bit over 2 hours, but it's I think they put together some of the last pieces of this film, so it could be released. Obviously, Orson Welles no longer with us, but yes, excited to see where this goes.
I do remember this one now. I was going to say it's nice of Orson Welles to come back for a new Netflix original film. It's good of him to jump on board with a new technology.
So I'm excited for that for next week. Yeah,
that'll be cool. That's a good call.
All right, and as usual, thank you. It's been a good chat, and yes, there's not much I can say about this one. I was just like, we'll do it because it's on the list, and we'll get it out there.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening to this podcast around Christmas time because you've just watched Christmas movie, then Merry Christmas, and I hope that the magic of the season has touched you already and will continue to.
You're just the expert on all things Christmas because, so nice. And I'll leave it on that, and I'll see you next week.
See you then, mate.